Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Armstrong Moutin with Marketing Resolution. Thanks very much for watching today. I have with me as a guest from Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, Nicole Davidson. Good morning, Nicole. How are you?
Good morning, Natalie. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Nicole, I love the practice that you've created. Your mediation practice is a bit different. You handle a lot of, commercial mediations like many of our colleagues do, but yours has a bit of a twist that I really appreciate. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is that makes your practice unique and special?
I'd love to. The main difference with my commercial mediation practice is that I'm very much focused on early mediation of commercial disputes. A lot of the commercial mediation that I come across and the commercial mediators that I talk to are working in the context of disputes where legal proceedings have already been issued, the parties are in a litigation process, and the mediation is really a settlement process to try and get to a resolution along that sort of litigation step. Sometimes the litigation has already gone a fair way down its path, and we're quite close to trial by the time the mediation comes around. I'm a real believer that that's leaving a little late. Throughout that litigation process, the parties are actually increasing their hostility, increasing their tension, their frustration is building, and it makes it very difficult to have a productive mediation that's much more than a pure settlement negotiation, throwing some dollars around. So my mediation practice is all about, let's mediate before we've gone through that litigation process. Let's actually get into the dispute early to unpack what's really behind the dispute. And let's try and get to a resolution before you've spent thousands of dollars, many hours of your time and many sleepless nights trying to actually get to a resolution.
I think that's absolutely brilliant, because I think what people don't always understand is how expensive litigation is. Emotionally expensive. It's expensive on your calendar. It's expensive in your wallet. It's expensive in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. And all of those stressors, having these litigated cases looming over us, creates anxiety and problems and stressors for us in our relationships and at our jobs and with our neighbors. And it's just something that's always, niggling in the backs of our minds. And that kind of stress and pressure can all disappear if they contact Growing Beyond at the early stages and just get it over and done with.
Yeah, and look, I think as well for me, when I work with these people who are in conflict, one of the big things for them is that it's taking so much time away from them productively running their business. And many people are quite good at actually looking at the financial cost, and their lawyers will tell them this is what it's going to cost you, this is your chances of success. They can work the numbers, but that extra cost about lost opportunities in the business, as you've said, the impact on them personally is often forgotten. And I think some people think commercial disputes, well, they're commercial, they're very rational, they're very non-emotive things, and yet almost all of these disputes have a huge amount of emotional hurt behind them. A lot of the disputes I work with are shareholder disputes or partnership disputes where the partners or the shareholders really want to take the business in different directions to each other. One of the ones that I've worked on recently, these shareholders had been friends since high school. They'd gone through uni together, they'd had jobs together, they'd done an MBA together, they'd been in business for 2 years, and the whole thing is starting to fall apart. Now, you can resolve that dispute through the courts. It's a long, costly process that we've talked about. But nowhere in that process will the courts care about trying to resolve that relationship as well. And by coming into the mediation process in that one early, we're at least able to get some conversations on the table about what went wrong here. Why have we actually ended up where we are? And really trying to, we recognised very early on in that particular process that the business interests were different and had to separate, but there was a chance still to restore that relationship and allow them to redeem their friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is still a work in process.
You know, when things get to the point that they need to come into your office or mine, it does take some effort to repair things or to bring things back to a workable level. But the value of that is immeasurable, absolutely immeasurable. And I think, you know, it's become too easy to use the old cliche, it's not personal, it's just business.
Yeah.
And that's never true. It's always personal to someone. It's personal. This
Absolutely.
is, you know, you're messing with someone's business. You're messing with their livelihood. You're messing with their life, and that has an effect, like we talked about, on their marriage and on their ability to be a good parent and on their ability to be a good employer, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it is very personal. It's not just business. And the sooner that people can get into your office and resolve these things and not let them go on and on and on and on in the court system, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, you know, for me, the process is about, you know, spending time with each of the parties individually to prepare them for what they're going through, to help them understand really what is this about. Sometimes they know they're upset, but they need a little bit of coaching to actually get to the bottom of what it is that's actually making them so upset about this situation. So I prepare each of the parties to come together for a conversation, but the most important thing is we actually get them face to face. And what I find with some of the legal problem solving or dispute resolution processes is it's all done on paper. It's all done via email these days. And it's really difficult. I mean, you just can't communicate via email that emotional content that needs to be dealt with to try to get to a resolution, because sometimes if you can deal with that emotional response and actually satisfy the emotional need of the party, they become a lot more rational or more willing to give up and concede points, that while they're still hurting about the emotional side, they're just going to dig their heels in. So that power of actually getting them in a room, in a safe environment with someone who's trained to actually help guide these conversations is a really, really important part of getting to a quick and sustainable resolution.
Exactly right. Nicole, I love talking to you about this. I love your enthusiasm, your passion, your sincerity for the work that you do. What's the best way for someone to get in contact with you if they need your services?
Yeah, the best way is probably go to my website, which is www.growingbeyond.com.au. On there, there's all my contact details, and very happy to have a conversation with anyone who has a dispute and doesn't quite know what options are available to them.
Fantastic. Of course, I will put that web address down below in the description bar so that people can just click and link directly to you. So, Nicole, thank you so much for spending time with me today and explaining this pre-litigation mediation process.
Thanks very much, Natalie. As you might tell, I absolutely love what I do. I feel very privileged to do it, and it's always a pleasure to tell people about it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Again, anyone, if you need some help or some assistance or an explanation or even a referral perhaps, contact Nicole Davidson, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. And as always, be good humans. Thanks for watching.